I am Calleen. I'm going to first just tell you really quick that the Utah Parent Center here in our state is one of actually like 100 parent training and information centers and community parent resource centers across the U.S. and its territories. So they all work with families of infants, toddlers, children, and youth with disabilities from birth to age 26. And they also help parents participate effectively in their children's education as well as in their development. Another huge thing that is important to our projects is partnering with professionals and policymakers to improve the outcomes. That's a big thing when we have to provide proof of that for children with disabilities. My name is Calleen Kenney. I am a certified community health worker for the disability community, and I am a parent consultant for the Utah Family Voices Project at the Utah Parent Center. And this will probably be my longest introduction because I am so excited about it. So the cute girl there in the middle is my oldest daughter. She was born, we're not going to do the math, right? No one get out a calculator. She was born in 1998. And then by the time she was 16 months old, it was determined that she had some pretty significant developmental delays. About a year later, I also found myself divorced. We were homeless. It was just all falling apart around us. So I needed a lot of help. My best friend's mom was involved with the state PTA on the big levels and stuff. And she arranged for me to have a scholarship to, believe it or not, to the Utah Parent Center's Utah Family Voices Family Links Conference. So this was probably in 2000, maybe even still 1999. So I go to this big conference and it was way overwhelming. And it's at Murray High School. So it's all these classrooms everywhere. And I'm going to classes on potty training. And one of them was how to tell your disabled child that they're beautiful. And I can't even remember all of them. I think that there was a class on the ABCs of behavior and things like that. But the biggest impact on my life at that time was their resource fair. The cafeteria was full of all of these providers and organizations. And you get all these swags, you know what I mean? You get pens and you get, squishy balls and everything. But I met this woman and it was the first time I'd heard the word autism. It was yeah, no, I don't think so. But the biggest impact that she made on me and the biggest thing that she said, there's all these waiting lists. There's only one doctor in the whole state in 2000 that can do this test for autism, and you have to get on this waiting list. You have to get on this waiting list. And so I finished my little work around the room and I signed up for the Down Syndrome Club and I signed up for the Single Dads Club. I signed up. It was ridiculous, the things I signed up for, you know what I mean? But again, she said, sign up for everything, get on every waiting list. And so, I did. And it was because I signed up for all those waiting lists that literally a year later, I got a phone call and they said, your daughter's name came up for an evaluation through CBTU for autism testing. Now that's the Children's Behavioral Therapy Unit. So that's where our kiddos went before there was a Pingree Center. That was the only place. That was all there was. So we'd just gone through genetic testing. So we knew it was all very inconclusive. We knew she didn't have Down syndrome. We knew she didn't have Fragile X. We knew she didn't have Angelman syndrome and a couple other specific genetic disorders. So I was yeah, we're in this elimination process. Let's go in and just cross another thing off that list. But that day, we walked out of that appointment with a very definitive diagnosis. And for me, it was a really big relief after a year of early intervention and developmental pediatrician appointments and psychological testing on a toddler, not to mention watching her fall further and further behind these developmental milestones of what to expect, the toddler years, and how devastating that was. We finally had a name for it, even though back then, again, it really didn't mean anything to us, let alone our family and friends and my colleagues and stuff, because again, if you said autism, they were Rain Man. And it was no, I don't know, no, don't worry about it. But also because we had spent time on that waiting list, Maya got an immediate placement into this specialized autism preschool program. And it was housed out of that historic, before they remodeled it, Douglas School down the street from you guys. And so even back then, it held a waiting list. And we were really thankful for the advice that we received from that conference to be able to participate as soon as possible. And then Maya spent her kindergarten year in that brand new state-of-the-art Carmen B. Pingree Center for Children with Autism. And she attended school there through 5th grade. And I don't know if she's on right now, but this is going to be a hard one for me. Sarah Buchanan was one of Maya's very first teachers, by the way. And I still, when we do workshops on behavior and reinforcers and stuff, I tell this story, but Maya's favorite reinforcers were not candy or M&Ms. They had to go find a little teeny mini clipboard and laminate a little baby mini ID badge that she could earn. And she would make these teeny tiny little like X's all over her sheets. And Maya wanted to pass her trials, and she did good so she could sit on the teacher's side of the trials for her friends. And she wanted to be a big girl. That's what she saw it as. So even to this day, she prefers to be reinforced with praise and with teacher attention. She prefers to be with similar peers and stuff than any food item and other things. So of all the presentations I do, this one really does mean a lot to me. So coming back to work with the Utah Parent Center and for Utah Family Voices Project is really important to me. And giving back to the community is such a strong advocacy pull in me because this is really where it all began. And I recognize how privileged I am with the services and the network that my daughter has. And that's what I want to share with you guys today, hopefully, is some of those things. And so that's what some of these other pictures are, is that's Maya's little graduation picture from preschool program. And then when she left the Pingree program in 5th grade, those are her little cute pictures. So now we can actually start the presentation. So the next slide should have a little bit more about who we are. We are a nonprofit, but we were founded by parents of children and youth with special healthcare needs as a parent-to-parent model. And we actually are celebrating our 40th year this year. This is our 40th anniversary of being open as a center. Our philosophy in general is that parents are full partners in the decision-making processes that direct their child's care, as well as their programs. So again, their healthcare and their services, and not just that, but as such, they can also provide the most significant support to other parents in the same similar situations and circumstances. So by having the kind of staff that we do at the Utah Parent Center, we utilize a very research-proven, effective parent-to-parent model, meaning that all of our staff at the Utah Parent Center are primarily parents of children with disabilities. Right now, we do have staff that are other caretakers like siblings. We also have some self-advocates working for us, but most of us have a child, varying ages with different disabilities. We all are part of the disability community, and we feel that this really does allow us the opportunity to provide that real life experiences and the positive lessons that we've learned. Again, our life and our experience have not always been perfect. We've gone through some really rough times, but my favorite thing is talking to a family and letting you know that Maya's 24 and I'm still here. Maya's 24 and we've made it this far. And that's something that I really do enjoy sharing with a family. You can do it. I promise if I can do it, you can do it. So some of the things that we do, well, first of all of the services that we provide are free to families. We do have a whole system of consultants that work with the public school system. So if you are coming either out of a public school situation or if you're trying to transition to a public school situation, we have district parent consultants that are either contracted through 10 different school districts, and we have a few statewide consultants that can help with anyone anywhere in the state, and we have 2 Spanish-speaking consultants, and we have 1 consultant that actually is contracted to help support families with charter schools. And then we also provide consultations by phone or in person. So if you walk into our Murray Center, we can help you with a variety of different resources. But sometimes when you have a child with different disabilities, it's hard to go somewhere for an appointment. And a phone consultation works really well. And all of our consultants bring different backgrounds to the center. So some of our consultants are former teachers. We have licensed social workers that end up coming to work for us, and some have been active and work with different disability groups. I have a colleague that has an amazing background in mental health. I am the current president of the Autism Council of Utah. I've been working with them for like 20 years. But again, all of our consultants are involved with a child with a disability. So this helps us bring just that experience and perspective to be able to help other parents. And now I think that this group is probably mostly from the Wasatch Front, but the Utah Parent Center is a statewide center. So we do have a toll-free phone number, and so we can connect you with a trained parent-to-parent networking volunteer in local areas. We have full-time Spanish-speaking consultants and Spanish-speaking volunteers, and we have a dedicated phone line that is answered in Spanish. Our website can be translated into 5 different languages. And again, like I said, we have parent consultants that are located in 10 district offices to help in those public school settings. And we offer information, referrals, and resources. We also have some materials like kind of a resource library in our office in Murray. We have some of our things on DVD still. We have some printed material, but most of our resources are actually now housed and can be accessed on the UPC website. Our consultants can also make referrals to other agencies and services. So if you find that you need help and assistance with, and we'll talk about some of the agencies, but even as far as like, I do work with families and help with things and systems, even as far as like wraparound services, systems of care, DCFS. And sometimes those things are voluntary. Just by the way, we can make referrals to those agencies for families. I know that sounds weird, but you can talk to us about that. Sometimes that's a family's only avenue to get certain levels of services. And we actually do that all the time. We provide workshops. Fall is so fun because our workshops start to really gear up. We have a ton going on right now. Throughout the school year, we really have a lot of workshops going on. And then our conferences. Again, that Family Links conference can be so incredible. This year, we did decide to do it all virtually. We tried to schedule it hybrid. Nobody wanted to come in person. Like no one showed up. So we did decide to do it in like different sections. Instead of having one big conference, it was done in 3 different seasonal times, and they're all online. So you can actually go back and get the recordings and the handouts and see the bios of the people who presented on our website for those conferences. And so I can provide that to you guys because we offer those workshops. We can also do it again, like this for you guys. We do that for schools, for districts, for different organizations across the state. We travel a lot for different groups and organizations. These are my favorite workshops that we do. So these are Utah Family Voices workshops that we provide. New diagnosis. Now what? It helps a family who is just receiving either a new diagnosis or an additional diagnosis. And it kind of helps you learn about resiliency and the grief process of that, as well as responsible and evidence-based information and therapies and systems navigation, because sometimes that can be a little overwhelming as well. I actually will talk about that a little bit more, but that is Medicaid, SSI, DSPD, all those kinds of things, and how to be involved with those systems. Transition University is a new one for kids that whether or not you're transitioning, is just a good one for like age 14 and up. That's that age group. The dual diagnosis series is for kids that might have either a physical disability and a mental health disability is what that is. Or again, autism and an additional mental health disability. That's dual diagnosis. Families and advocacy. I know you guys asked for some advocacy information and I will provide that for you. I was going to just steal that workshop, but it is so good. I think you guys should go to the full workshop. That's going to be in December. So that's just a really great workshop that's coming up. Special needs financial planning helps families learn about ABLE accounts, special needs trusts, things like that. Healthy Bodies is actually a maturation program for parents. So it's not like one that you sit through with your 5th grader. It's one that parents go to learn about some of the tips and tricks that you might need to utilize for puberty and maturation of kids that have special healthcare needs or disabilities. And then managing stress in times of crisis. We are just a community and population that kind of live in that state of crisis. And sometimes maybe we need to learn how to manage that and come back down out of it a little bit better. I want to talk a little bit more about specifically that transition university piece, because I think that people don't take it seriously enough when our kids have autism or certain disabilities. They're like, oh, they're not going to get a job. They're not going to live on their own or whatever. I remember saying that. And maybe I'm completely wrong. Maybe I'm talking to the wrong friends out there. But I can't tell you how many times I said, yes, Maya's going to live with me forever. Where else would she live? Who else is going to take care of her? What are you talking about? No, Maya's never going to work. What are you talking about? How is she going to have a job? At 24 years old, Maya needs 24/7 support. Let me just put that out there. I can honestly state that she will not be able to live independently by herself. However, I honestly believe that she will have a desire to probably not live with me her whole life, unfortunately. She also has 2 paying jobs, and she is extremely thrilled about them. It gives her great joy and a lot of pride to work. And it's really, really been fun to see her mature and grow. And again, just find pride in those kinds of things. So I just want to stress how important going through some of these things are for all of our kids, no matter what. So Transition University is just a really fun, and we're just really excited to have this. It's actually a full series. Like, I'll admit, it's 3 separate nights. So it's like you go every Tuesday for 3 weeks. And we do this like 3 times a year. So it's like 3 separate classes. And it's supposed to be with you and your kid. But if just parents come, that's great. But it's to help you with your child's transition into adulthood. So if your young adult is 13 to 22 years old, this series of classes is for you and your young adult to take together or in whatever combination you need. But it covers these 2 new handbooks that we have, these 2 new publications. One of them is called Choices, and it is a comprehensive guide for families. So the Choices book, that one's a comprehensive book for families. And then there's another one that we call it the Teen Workbook, because there's all these like kind of cute pages that are meant for teens to fill out. Important to go through and recognize what information you need to be getting from and about your youth. These handbooks kind of help you, again, just discuss and understand all the choices related to that transition age phase of life. So again, it's when and how to apply for Social Security. It's helping to decide if you may or may not need guardianship. And we actually are also in the process of updating a comprehensive guide for parents on guardianship of adult children with disabilities in Utah, which is covered in the Safety and Security for Future section of the Choices book. So both of those books have all these color-coded sections. So in the teen book, Safety and Security would have internet safety and how to make friends and stuff like that. And then those same subjects would be covered in the parents guide. And then we would also talk about guardianship and the different things that you have to talk about and decide for those kinds of subjects. And it's also in red, so it all matches up. And then Life Launch Series, if you do have youth that can participate with you, then Life Launch Series is a training that is specifically geared towards the youth. But you do sign up with a parent. And so it's kind of fun because you get all these fun materials in advance that you go through. And then you get to schedule these live chats with different agencies and individuals. And you get to hear stories of people with disabilities who are like living the lives that they choose, and you kind of leave with the next steps for adult life, whether it's career planning or job support. 1 week is the road to a good life. And then you get a live chat with self-advocates as special guests. And one of them is a road to employment, and you live chat with vocational rehab. And one of them is a road to independence, and you live chat with independent living centers, things like that. So it's kind of fun. And those are just some of our newer workshops for that age group of kids that sometimes kind of get forgotten. And we finally have some information for those kiddos. I'm a mom. I get to say kiddos. Okay. Utah Family Voices, we call it like the little sister company differently to the UPC in that we provide that statewide assistance in a variety of ways to family. We are the project that handles health and medical resources. So if you needed a speech or OT, I can help you do that. If you needed help with any of these agencies, Utah Family Voices is who works and facilitates these kinds of systems. We can do that assistance in a variety of ways. We also partner with the professionals as well. So if you help a lot with case managers, things like that. But if you have questions or need help with any of these agencies, then please contact us because we have parent consultants that can provide all kinds of resources and support or advice, or in some cases, we can even direct you with help in different procedures for all of those different hoops that we have to jump through. Because being staff of people who have been there and done that, we can collectively coach families through almost all the situations. The next slide talks a little bit more about the Family to Family Network. That is a statewide parent support network that's run by volunteers, and it's designed to educate and to strengthen and to support families of people with disabilities, but especially those who are on the waiting list or who are in services with the Division of Services for People with Disabilities, or DSPD. I'll have lots of time at the end to answer questions about that as well. Our network leaders are all parents of individuals with special needs, and they link families to local resources and services and disability-friendly events, and they're a project of the Utah Parent Center. I believe that the group here today is probably mostly from the Wasatch Front, so the Salt Lake Family to Family Network can be found on Facebook, and especially with Halloween coming up, most of our networks usually do some kind of fun holiday event for the different networks. Sometimes out in our rural communities where resources are super limited, they do a lot more, but I'll give you a tip on some of those too though. Because our online and virtual events have remained super popular, you can pay attention to those events because those trainings can be like really cool and they're free. You can sign up and you can attend any of those online events from any of the networks. So remember that. And then the next thing I wanted to talk about is our website. If you like a good rabbit hole on the internet, you will love our new website. So it is so full of awesome pages, and each of them have like additional links, even more information and pages. They each have like the handbooks are there, the videos, the event registrations, their support resources. And again, we have a dedicated Spanish information page. It can be automatically translated into English, Spanish, Portuguese, German, and French. And then let's say that you, in that upper right-hand corner, like you don't have to do it, but if you looked up advocacy, you would find information on all kinds of things. Like this is just the search bar. So if you opened up any of those other ones, you would find information, again, just as an example, on the history of disability. That's a page. And then on that page, there's videos with voting right laws and tips on how to teach and start teaching teens about self-advocacy. But we also have pages dedicated to employment readiness that includes like when it might be important to self-disclose a diagnosis and how to do that. Also self-advocacy workshops and groups on self-determination to help individuals and their families ask for necessary accommodations in different areas, from school to work to maybe extended family situations. And then we also have resources available to learn about how to build a person-centered plan. So that's a really big thing. If you're in DSPD services, then your support coordinator would do that for you. But I think it's hard for parents to narrow down the differences in what is important to their family and their child and what is important for the family and child. And this kind of planning process helps sort that out. And I think it helps with those pieces that are needed for better future successes. I know that we're families living in the moment. We're surviving minute by minute, sometimes day to day. So having a structured process like this can help us focus on those differences and help us be more focused in, narrow down what we want to advocate for. So there's a handbook for that. There's a page for that. There's an info sheet for those kinds of things. That's kind of neat. If you are interested in more like systems level and policy level advocacy, that needs to be done in our state as well. Some of the bigger agencies that are working on that and that you want to follow would be the Utah Developmental Disabilities Council. Their whole point is to help teach and train individuals, especially with developmental disabilities, how to advocate so they can do that. In fact, they just sent out a call for their ALPS program, it's called, and that is an advocacy training class. But I think it's full because when I tried to get some information from it the other day, it was closed. But their office is right next door to the Utah Parent Center. So if you needed more information about that, I can get that for you. But they have a Facebook page. They do lots of fun things during the legislative session, and so does the LCPD. So the Legislative Coalition for People with Disabilities doesn't have a super active website right now, but they will usually during the legislative session have a reception, which is what some agencies and organizations will do for legislative attention. They'll say, hey, representatives and senators, come down and we have a lunch prepared for you in the Capitol Rotunda. Come and learn about the Legislative Coalition for People with Disabilities and what our issues are that we're talking about this year. So that's a good time for you to be paying attention to those kinds of things. And you can sign up on their website to get those newsletters. I'll have to reach out to Lauren and make sure that I get you guys all of these links and stuff. And then the other one is, it used to be the Utah State Center for People with Disabilities, but now it's the Institute for Disability Research, Policy, and Practice. They like to call it IDRIP. It is hilarious how many acronyms there are. And that's their newest one, is their IDRIP. These are some of the organizations that you can follow and will give you information on what is going on in our state for the disability community. One thing that is hard is when everybody is asking for everything different. If we can all get together and decide on one thing, we're way more effective. In fact, even when everybody is on board, I'll tell you a little story. And this is actually part of this picture here. And this was in the newspaper. This is me and Maya. We were asked to go and give testimony to our legislators. And actually, it was about the preschool program. We needed more funding for the preschool program. Who doesn't want the preschool program? You know what I mean? But because everybody is there talking about different things and different things, originally they give you 2 minutes. And so I have my paper printed out. I've practiced it a million times and it's going to take me exactly 2 minutes. But I get there and there's a million people there. And most of them are professionals or they're policymakers and things like that. So they say, sorry, you have 45 seconds. Everybody has 45 seconds. And so I'm panicked already because I didn't have a babysitter for Maya. I had to get off work. You know, I have to go meet my friends up there at the Capitol. The room is packed. Maya used to have this stim back then that she just eat all day long. And so I'm trying to keep her quiet. She's running around and it's my turn and I have to throw my script out the window. And I just fumbled through something. I don't even remember what I said because she's trying to grab the little foam ball off the microphone. And the guys finally said, does your daughter need to testify too? And my first reaction was like, she's not verbal. You know what I mean? But actually for 6 years, she'd been working on 3 sentences. So I'm like, oh, no. Here's our chance. She gets to show off her 3 sentences. And so, yeah, she did. She got to show off. She got to verbalize the 3 lines that she was capable of verbalizing at that time. And it really did. It not only brought the crowd to tears, but it was so effective that, yeah, it made the newspaper. And I mean, again, it was just a nice to know that it can be effective to just be real. But also it was something important to me to learn the importance of paying it forward. I think you can see that from this picture that Maya is not a preschooler in this picture. She'd actually graduated from the Pingree program. She was no longer attending the school. But it really was important to me to take the time to do this because we would never take for granted the time or the money that we put into the Pingree program. We wanted to make sure that other families also had that opportunity. I wanted to take that time. I wanted to give my 2 minutes for that, you know. Again, when you have too many people show up and they all are saying the same thing, sometimes you can get cut out altogether and they'll just ask, who is here for this issue and everybody raises their hands and they'll just take a count. And so sometimes that happens too, which is effective, you know what I mean? But yeah, if we can all get together and consolidate, that helps as well. I know sometimes when we've gone, as we also have been like, okay, you focus on this subject, I'll focus on this subject. When we're out there, you say this, I'll say this, do those kinds of things up there. And it's not scary. I like the whole pomp and circumstance and procedural stuff of it though, and you can make a day of it. We used to field trip it actually from the center. It's not hard.
Someone wanted to know what the 3 sentences were, if you're willing to share.
No, totally. If we asked her, what's your name? She could say Maya Kenney. If we asked her, where are you from? She could say Sandy, Utah. And to be honest, I can't remember the other one, but I know it was 3. And I want to say it had something to do with like Blue's Clues or something. Because even to this day, all of her stuff is they're very Maya-isms. They're very canned phrases. You know what I mean? Like every day we say, hey, what are you going to do today? And she laughs and she says something weird. But if you say, make today, she'll say, awesome. But she won't say, make today awesome. Or are you going to have an awesome day? You know, I'll have to remember what it is. It was really neat experience. But yeah, I'll have to ask my husband. He would know too. And he wasn't even there, but he still makes her say it. You know, where are you from? Sandy, Utah. Like she kind of says it like that now because we still make her do those same 3 sentences. But yeah, being put on the spot. I can't remember now, but
that's okay. Thank you.
Yeah. I have my contact information is on the next slide. I wanted to leave a lot of time for questions and for discussion and stuff, because again, that's what I'm here for. If you want a one-on-one personal consultation, or if your situation requires some more time or more sensitive information, then please feel free to call me. In fact, I know it. Yeah, let's say the number is the main line goes straight to Utah Family Voices. So you will get either me or Tina or Anna, as opposed to like a school district one. But actually our admins are super, super good at delegating all of our calls though. And these days, because Maya is back at the Adult Autism Center, so she's back in the Pingree program. We're back, baby, just kidding. And my office is in Murray. I'm usually in the office like almost every day because it's just so close. You know, I'm like, I just drop her off, go to work, drop her off, go to work. So I usually spend at least a few hours every single day in our office in Murray. So, but again, I can take phone calls all the time. Tomorrow is the most important thing in life. It does come to us at midnight, very clean. It's perfect when it arrives. Unfortunately, most of the time we're asleep when it happens. It puts itself in our hands and hopes that we've learned something from yesterday. And the silly thing is it's from John Wayne, but I don't know, it kind of gets me because again, just it reminds me that every day is going to be something new. And I do try to remind families of that. Your next phase probably won't be better, but it will be different. I think that it is encouraging.
Awesome. Are there any questions from any of the viewers that you'd like to ask Calleen?
Well, good. That means that everybody got all the information that they needed and wanted, right?
All right, perfect. Well, thank you so much, Calleen. There was a question that just popped up. Someone asked about therapy.
So the Medicaid, actually, that was one that we went to the legislature over. That was one of our priorities last year. We had like 3 main focuses, and that was one of them that did not pass. We are hoping to go back for it this year. That would make such a huge impact, because I think that one of the things that sounds so crazy, but it has been hard to get some of our legislators to believe, is that kids with autism grow up to be adults with autism. Like they really don't believe that it happens. Like what happens to them? Like right now they're hidden in our basement or they're in front of TV screens. And so they don't understand the impact that would make, that if they were able to get appropriate therapy, that they would be contributing members of our community, that they have so much potential if they were to be given those opportunities. Was that the only one so far?
So after the asking about Medicaid helping to cover ABA over age 21, there was a question about therapy.
Medicaid will cover ABA therapy over age 21.
Oh, okay, perfect. Okay, yeah, so it was the same.
Okay. As we try to prioritize things for the community in general, it is really hard. hard because we all want everything for our kids. And what's important to me might not be important to you. I don't like making those decisions for you. You know what I mean? But some of the things that we prioritized last year were the Medicaid expansion. It wasn't part of the Medicaid expansion. That was not that's not right verbiage because that's an actual thing. But it was providing Medicaid coverage for ABA therapy for individuals over 22, and then direct care staff pay raises, which we did receive. And I am more than thrilled about that. We'll take what we can get.
Well, awesome. If there aren't any other questions for Calleen, thank you so much for your time today and for these wonderful resources you shared with us. I did go through and I copied all those links that you put in the chat, so I'll be sure to send that out in an email to our parents. And then this video will also be available on our Pingree YouTube channel if you ever wanted to go back and view the PowerPoint again. Awesome. Well, thank you so much, everybody. Thank you, Calleen. I hope you all have a great day and we'll see ya.
Thanks for having me.